Hey, Joe fans, I'm Joefan82 here with a Sunday stream, and I have a very special guest with me tonight. I have none other than Kyle Peterson himself. Kyle, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Kyle,
Happy Easter.
happy Easter. Yes, today
There you go.
is Easter. Hope all of you had a wonderful day full of chocolate bunnies and so much sugar that you can barely contain yourselves. Um, there's a couple things that I want to mention just on the top before we get into tonight's discussion. First off, I have enabled Super Chat for the channel. So if you want to do a little donation to my channel, you can do that right in the chat. And if you type a little message, that'll be highlighted and I'll see it pop up there. So that's always welcome. And the other thing is I'm making this a weekly live stream. So every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can join me right here on the Joefan82 YouTube channel for a live stream about G.I. Joe and other action figure stuff. We might cover some news if some news comes up, and we'll be taking your questions. So those are the two main things, housekeeping items I had. Looks like we have a couple people in the chat already here. We've got Cobra Island, Gaz, and that's all I see right now. I've got a couple more people coming in, and as we go, more will show up. So tonight's special guest is Kyle. Guys, if you are not familiar with Kyle, I think I first saw his YouTube channel when it popped up on my recommended feed, and he had a walkthrough of his collection. And you might be able to see behind him, he's got quite the action figure collection. So Kyle, can you kind of tell us about yourself and your collection and what it contains?
That's a lot. Kyle Peterson. So yeah, I'm Kyle. I'm fairly new to YouTube, I guess. I just celebrated my year anniversary with YouTube, so that was fun. But my collection, yeah, thank you. Yeah, my collection really runs the gamut. Like a lot of people that probably watch both of our channels, I'm an 80s kid as well. So, the 80s were the time to be alive, I always say. And if it's an 80s property, for the most part, I'm all in. Obviously G.I. Joe is a huge one. It's funny, I'm kind of known for my wrestling figures. I guess that's what most people probably come to me is for wrestling figure news. But at heart, G.I. Joe is number one in my everything. It was everything to me as a kid, G.I. Joe. I mean, all my greatest memories of my life are around G.I. Joe toys as a kid in the 80s. I mean, absolutely passionate about G.I. Joes, but also wrestling. I've been a long-time wrestling fan, long-time wrestling collector, from starting with the LJNs in the 80s. But then on top of that, of course, you got He-Man, you got Marvel, you got Star Wars, basically all the big properties. If they're making toys, hey, I'm all in. So that's pretty much how it goes.
So you would rank, so G.I. Joe would be number one?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for
really?
Sure.
It
shocks a lot of people.
Yeah.
I
always thought
G.I.
wrestling.
Joe.
Tell me if this is
it's
true.
It's close, but it's G.I. Joe just by a hair. Just by a hair.
Tell me if this is true or not. I heard that if you take your entire wrestling collection and put it outside and pile it up, it could be seen from space. Is that true?
It possibly could happen. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I basically collected every single line from LJNs in the mid 80s onward. So I mean, that's a lot of figures. It's ridiculous. I probably my friend at work, he always jokes that Kyle has the heaviest house in the nation. Just weight of action figures. It's just, and then he also says all the time, all those, when everybody was a kid, they said, oh, when I grow up and I get a house, I'm going to do this. And he goes, you actually did it. And that's true.
I should have said this before, but Cobra Island asked, Kyle, what's your YouTube name? So where can people find you here on YouTube?
If you search Kyle Peterson on YouTube, and there's like two of them. There's some wilderness guy. I think he's got like 1 million followers. That's not me, but I'm the other Kyle. I'm the other Kyle Peterson. You can't miss me. You'll see action figures, but I think the official one is Kyle Peterson 1980.
Okay, and I believe I already put the link for your channel in the description for this video, but when this is done processed, I'll go back and double check that, guys. So if you're watching this on replay, go down into the description. There'll be a link for Kyle's channel down there. So Kyle, what do you have? What makes up the majority of your collection, would you say?
Yeah, it's wrestling for sure. I've like probably you and probably tons of other collectors that watch this stuff, the ebbs and flows of collecting. Wrestling has been pretty consistent. I did do a huge purge back when I was maybe 18, and I purged almost all my collections, including my prized GI Joes. What was I thinking? But the only thing I kept from my Joes, the one I could never part with, and I still have it, and I'm still looking for an idea of how to display it. The old USS Flag, the aircraft carrier, I still have it. Couldn't part with that. I mean, that's the centerpiece of my childhood playing days. But I did. I sold everything. And I was one of those kids. You know, there's kids out there, nothing against them, but there's kids out there that just beat their toys. I mean, broke them. And then you had these crazy maniacs on my street. And I don't want to offend anybody, but crazy maniacs that would take their Joes and unscrew them and make new Joes. You know, they'd swap parts and all that kind of stuff. I had friends that had massive collections and would just swap and lose track of who they had. And so what are you doing? You got to keep this real. Flint has to be Flint and Snake Eyes has to be Snake Eyes. I was a purist. I was a purist as a kid. And, but yeah, I had everything. And I sold everything. Actually, I sold my childhood toy collection and I bought a Jeep Grand Cherokee that was 2 years old at the time. So I kept my stuff in pristine condition. So it was good. It was good at the time. I thought I was doing the right thing, but now I'd go anything to go back and get my Joes back.
Do you still have the Jeep?
No, I don't have the Jeep. So that's another thing. I'm a crazy collector. I have 4 Jeeps right now, and I had 14 Jeeps. So I'm a big Jeep guy too, but down to 4 now. But I definitely don't have that Jeep anymore.
Some good news here, Kyle. Cobra Island just subscribed to your channel. So
thank you. Hope you
there
enjoy.
You go. And I want to just give a quick shout out to Woodman29. Hey, man. Thanks for tuning in. Another regular here on the show. So you sold all you. I don't remember your walkthrough video, guys. If you have not seen Kyle's walkthrough video, you did one recent. You did one a long time ago, and then you did another one.
Yeah, I think maybe 13 months ago I did one, and then I did one year to the date to see the changes. And I'm a big fan of displaying action figures. That's another passion I have. And actually, when I bought this house, I bought this specifically because I knew I could design the basement how I wanted it. I got free reign of the basement. I also have an office in my house, and I got free reign of those. The wife controls everything else. But I wanted to design everything, and it's really cool, I think. I get always a lot of great feedback, and there's a lot of people that always want to come see. I built secret doors into the room, you know, that lead to other rooms. It's pretty cool, I think.
Watching your collection walkthrough video was like watching the end of Lord of the Rings. You think it's over, but then, there's another room, guys. Wait, hold on.
And it was a big enough difference in that year. Obviously, COVID, we were all stuck at home, like probably a lot of people. I was working at home. I was working a million hours at home, but I had time. I didn't have the drive time to and from the office every day. And then I travel an 8-state area for meetings and stuff like that in my job. I didn't have to do that last year. So I had a lot of nights that I'd normally be in a hotel, maybe figure hunting in a foreign state, that I had time to really work on my displays. And I did some pretty, I find it impressive work on my displays over the last year. And then I got big plans for 2022. This will probably be the biggest change yet. Some more to come on that if you follow along on my channel.
Yeah, guys, I highly recommend you check out his walkthrough. Hey, another Michael Mercy. Hey, man, good to see you. Happy Easter. And I saw somebody else. Hold on. I want to make sure, because I like to highlight the regulars that show up here. Action Figure Expert. Hey, good to see you. I think we're doing well for a Sunday night Easter. So you talked about your traveling and your hunting, right? Your toy hunting. I see you've got toy hunting videos. I personally kind of stopped a few months ago because I was collecting classified, GI Joe classified, and after weeks of not finding anything, I just said, I'm done with the hunt for now. It's too depressing. What has your experience been like toy hunting for classified or in general?
I tell you what, I can't think of anything I have not found in the stores. I don't think I've ever missed anything. I'm an avid hunter, and people say, "Oh, you're lucky you find this stuff." Well, I also put the hours in. That's the thing. You're not just going to show up to a store once in a blue moon and find something. I mean, if you watch my videos, I am hunting like a crazy person. Uh, and partially of that is for work. I have to travel. I have to go to stores. I have to do stuff like that for my day job. So that's a big part of it. But I've found everything. So far, G.I. Joe wise, I've found everything. I finally completed the last classified I was missing, and that was the Repaint Duke. And that was actually at a local toy store, strangely enough. So a mom and pop store is where I picked that guy up.
So are you telling me that you have found all the classifieds at retail and you have not paid scalper prices?
100%. Yeah.
You
And I
are
found...
a liar, sir.
I swear. I swear. I don't know how lucky I got. When the first Trooper came out for Cobra Island, walked in like week one of them hitting the stores, found a whole case. Just like that. Just walked in. There's a case, and I always compare it, if there's anybody that watches or follows wrestling figures at all, there's a Harley race set. Long story short, Walmart exclusive set. I was in Omaha traveling for work, came across that set. Just, there it is on the pegs. I'm like, oh, good. Got the set done. Didn't think anything of it. And I don't open my figures right away. I usually wait a while, especially back then. They'd stack up until I get a free weekend. I'd open them up. I never opened that set. Well, that Harley race set never went anywhere. It's one of the grail pieces of the Mattel Elite set. And luckily, I found that just walking in. And same thing with the Cobra Trooper. I didn't think anything about it. I said, oh, I got Cobra Trooper. Good. I'm done. Now I just got to find that Beachhead. Where's Beachhead at? And luckily, found him a couple days later. But I found a whole case. And I'm not really a big army builder, but I'm an army builder now, I guess. That's the way it went.
So you are primarily or mostly or all a 6-inch collector.
Yeah, so recently I've went down a crazy rabbit hole on Star Wars, which is a whole nother world. I decided, you know what, I'm going back to Star Wars. 3 3/4, great ideas. That was part of my purge back in the day, and I've seemed to have kind of cleaned up on everything outside of G.I. Joe from my purge. And maybe, who knows, we'll see what happens one day, maybe. But yeah, primarily 6-inch to these days. I just really prefer the 6-inch scale. I always kind of think my kid's scale was 3 3/4, but now I'm all 6-inch. But now I'm dabbling back and forth, so I don't know. But primarily, yes, 6-inch.
And so in your walkthrough, in your collection tour, I saw you have a room which it's got G.I. Joe in it, but it looks like they're all carded.
Yeah.
And you've got, I've seen like FSS, and you have kind of run the gamut, right? Do you keep all of those carded, or do you have anything open?
Yep. All carded. So I went in, like a lot of people, got my love of the Joes rekindled with 25th anniversary line. That's where I jumped back in. I said, oh my gosh, just that throwback packaging. And I'm waiting for the day the classified series gives us that throwback in 6-inch. We know it's coming. I don't know when, but it will come. But I walked in and I saw those at Toys R Us on the pegs, and it just changed my life, changed my wallet for sure, like a lot of us. And that's what I did. So primarily, I prefer to be a min on card guy. That's what I want to be, but I can't. With the amount of figures I have, the amount of figures I buy, where would I put it all? And then I always try to keep rules. People say, what are your collecting rules? My collecting rule is, if I can't display it, I probably don't need it. If it doesn't mean enough to me to put on display, I probably don't need it in my collection. So I try to live by that rule to keep me somewhat sane. If there is sanity to this at all, I don't know.
I've noticed a couple people comment about our matching shirts here tonight. This was unplanned, guys.
Yeah.
We logged on and we were like, oh, wait a second. We're both members of Cobra now.
That's right. We both joined up. We ranked. We're going to try to recruit some people today. I did an unboxing today on my channel. I have this right here, and I was actually wearing this and got the old Cobra Commander mask. So,
and did you find that at GameStop?
Oh, GameStop, drive me nuts. They had that deal of the day. I don't know if some of you guys saw that last week. There was like a flash deal. They have those daily deals, and that's where that was. And I said, there's no way I'm paying over $100 for this mask. And I knew there'd be eventually a clearance or something going on. I'm not a cosplayer. I don't do any of that. But I said, how cool would that look being on my desk at work? When people walk in my office, see that, they're going to know I'm all business. I'm a member of Cobra. but yeah, GameStop. I went to the GameStop by my house. I knew they've had one forever. I went in there. Of course, it's sold. They said, hey, the one on the other side of town. So I had to drive a half hour there. I get there, and they say, oh, yeah, we don't honor the daily deals anymore. They're online only. And I said, last week I was in here and you guys honored the daily deal. Well, we're not going to do it anymore. So then, of course, I just hit the buy on my phone and I got it in 3 days, which I probably should have just done that anyways. But I like the thrill of the hunt. I like going to the stores. The punishment.
It would be awesome if you could be at work in your office wearing the mask. Just wear the mask all day.
And I would. I'm crazy. Everybody always kind of jokes. I work in the grocery industry, and we had a big tie-in with Smurfs that we worked on with the Smurfs movies and stuff like that. And I was dealing with some of that. And I said, I have no shame. I will dress as a Smurf, whatever we got to do to get more sales, I'll do it. I have zero shame. I'll do it. And I'd wear a Cobra. I'd relish wearing that every day. I'd wear it. I told my wife, this is giving me my new COVID mask. I mean, it kind of works. I think it does. I can wear that out. No shame.
Cobra Island says, hey, Kyle, there's a local toy store down the road for me. I advertise for on my channel. That would be great for you to visit here in Virginia. So, Kyle, if you're ever in Virginia,
you never know where I might be. Once COVID goes away, I will be traveling the nation. So look for me.
So you have you noticed, looking here on the chat, your classic action figures brought up prices like on eBay, and it's for G.I. Joe. And I'm not sure, I don't really follow the other lines so much, but vintage was going up, and then I noticed modern's going up as well. Do you do any buying on eBay or online? What is your buying preference?
And how about rip eBay Bucks? If anybody's an eBay Bucks member, I don't know if you guys do that, where they give you cash back. That just ended. I've had that for years. They give you a % back on everything you buy off eBay, and that just ended. And it was great. I mean, it was free money, basically.
They just canceled the program?
eBay canceled the program after like 10 years or so it is. It was a free program, free to sign up. But I'm an old school eBay guy. Back, I think, 95 or early 96 was probably my first eBay purchase. I've been on there forever. I mean, I've been collecting toys for as long as I can remember. My dad was a very serious collector, very serious as far as starting lineups go. I'm sure you guys that are watching this, everybody remembers starting lineups. Yeah. You see them all the time now. But back in the heyday, I mean, we'd travel to the conventions. We'd go all that. So I've been bred into collecting. Obviously, a kid of the 80s, sports cards, stuff like that. And I've used everything under the sun, from eBay, Mercari, Facebook groups, you name it. And back to the original question, things skyrocketing. I've talked about it a few videos on my channel. A lot of people have, questioned. I see a lot of comments and questions about, Walmart, or Target, Cobra Island. We'll bring it to Joe's. What is going on with Cobra Island? I feel like I have a little bit more perspective on that kind of stuff as far as stores go, because I've worked in the grocery and stores industry for 26 years now. And I've actually been in Bentonville calling on Walmart buyers personally, Target up in Minneapolis, calling on them personally. And people think, distribution issues, stuff like that. There's so much more to it. I mean, you could write a book on it. It's truly more than meets the eye. I know it's not Transformers here, but we'll steal it from the Transformers. But things are through the roof right now, and there's a lot of reasons for that. With COVID spikes, I mean, I could talk for days. But everything, not just Joe's, everything is through the roof right now. And wrestling is out of control. If you're a wrestling collector, out of control. I mean, just I feel like I could easily sell my collection and pay for my house and probably buy another small house somewhere. I mean, it's unbelievable how the Mattel Elites have skyrocketed in the last few years. And then going back to Jack's Classic Superstars, stuff like that that 15 years ago was probably $20 a figure. You got stuff that's $200 plus a figure.
Wow.
And Joe's are no different. I mean, imagine a scalper is making a fortune off the G.I. Joe classified line, just an absolute fortune out there. And I hate it. I hate it.
I don't know if it's true for wrestling or if it's true for other lines, but I think Mike on the What's a Joe Mind podcast and YouTube show brought up the fact that now it's not just scalpers that know about the property, like scalpers that know about G.I. Joe.
Right.
Now it's the stay-at-home moms that know that they can buy this toy at a store and sell it for double or triple the 100%. Price. They're just going and doing
that. Is so, and we've all been collectors for a long time, hitting the stores for a long time. You'd go to Toys R Us back in the day when they opened, and hey, there's the Hot Wheel guy, there's the starting lineup guy, here's the action figure guy. Now they're crossing over. It didn't happen like that too much in the 80s and 90s. Every once in a while, guys would cross over. But now you see that Hot Wheel guy. He doesn't care about G.I. Joe. Doesn't care about G.I. Joe at all. But you know what? He knows just the buzz on the internet. You can't help but see what the hot things are right now. Oh, look at that. Cobra Island, beachhead. Oh, that's going for this. I'm going to sell that and I'm going to fund some of my Hot Wheel stuff. And that is going on all the time. Like I said, I go to a lot of stores every week. I see it personally, people buying that. And just conversing with people online that send me messages. There's people, hey, I got this G.I. Joe or whatever it is. And how much do you think I could sell this for? I don't really collect these. And that's one of the big issues that's going on. That's with distribution issues. You got that going on. You got the COVID spike. That's the biggest thing I see here is there's so many people that normally went on vacation or they would, travel to see somebody or something. They're stuck at home. They have nothing to do. They can't go anywhere. And they said, you know what brought me joy before I take the family to Disney World or whatever it is? You know what? I really like G.I. Joe as a kid. I'm going to get some of my G.I. Joes back. And then you throw the stimulus money that people are getting in there. Obviously, there's a lot of people that needed that stimulus money, but there were some people that probably didn't need it as much as others. And they said, what can I do with this money? And that's what we've seen with eBay, with wrestling figures, G.I. Joe, Marvel Legends, all kinds of stuff just have skyrocketed. And it's the whole COVID effect. And what's my opinion here, not to get on too much of a soapbox, is once COVID's done, I think if you have figures that are worth a ton of money right now, now's probably a selling time. I'm not selling my stuff, but what's going to happen is COVID's going to get better. The world's going to get somewhat normal again. Those families are going to go to Disney World again. Guess what? Those Disney trips are pretty expensive. And how are you going to fund that? And you're going to see a lot of people jumping out of collecting. And what happened was COVID hit, people started collecting, and we know the toy companies, it usually takes them a year, let's say, from design to getting on the shelf. Then you're meeting with your Walmart, your Target buyers, how much of this product you're going to take. It's totally different than food. Food, Oreo cookies, they're produced in a week. They're to the store. It's a constant rotation. Toys, hey, they're made in China. They got to come over on a boat. So what we've seen is tons of people jumping into collecting or starting collecting. NECA Ninja Turtles, the cartoon Ninja Turtles, fabulous figures. I always talk about on my channel, turtle anxiety. It's a real thing because everybody wants these things and they're so hard to find. It's because all these new collectors jumped in. NECA and Target met 6 months before COVID started, said, here's what we're going to do. Here's our recommended. All of a sudden they hit the shelves. You got your normal collectors that would normally buy those. But now you got all these new people. They're stuck with COVID. They got incremental money. They want in on this. They can't stay on the shelf. Cobra Island. That's a whole nother disaster, but it all goes like that. And then people are buying. Well, now NECA, picking on NECA, they're releasing more turtles than ever. Turtles are coming out in the stores. They're sending rewaves out, stuff like that. Well, the COVID buyer is going to dry up. And we were talking about 6 months to a year planned out. Well, they didn't make enough. Now they're saying, oh, this is how much we've been selling. We better make double that. COVID's going to go back. All of a sudden, all this stuff's going to hit the pegs and we're going to see clearance. We're going to see issues. We're going to see people flipping their collection. So if you're a buyer, you're going to come out like a king buying stuff very cheap when COVID gets eradicated or whatever we want to call it. That's my soapbox.
So like 6 months to a year from now, is it possible that the retailers could be stuck with a whole bunch of products that they can't get rid of?
Yep.
And then we see a possible downturn in production in toys, even more than what they are already.
I think that's what we'll see. So, historically, once again, I always talk about the ebbs and flows of the business, and that's the industry I work in. So I'm part of it. I've seen it for a lot of years. But think back to Walmart and Targets after Christmas or right before Christmas. Usually after Christmas, there's aisles of clearance of toys, just aisles of clearance toys. This year, you didn't see that. We didn't see that really anywhere. There was a few odds and ends here. They maybe stuck on an end cap and clearanced out, but nowhere near prior years. And I think that goes to that. Everything's sold. And, there's a lot of people around Christmas saying, oh, why isn't there toys on the shelf? They're all sold out. And I said, that's good. The Target and Walmart employees of the world, they love that because that means they sold everything. Because you know what toys are after Christmas Day? They're a liability is all they are. Toys, obviously, there's not a lot of toys being sold the day after Christmas until basically Easter ranks up for, the mom and dads that are buying for the kids. Then it goes back to, hey, Friday, you do your chores, you can get that G.I. Joe guy. So it's going to be really interesting. And that's what I think. I mean, I wish I could put money on it or something, because I think this is what's going to happen. I do think they're going to ramp up orders. And G.I. Joe's a different case, too, to bring it back to G.I. Joe with Cobra Island. It's untapped. Nobody knew what to really expect out of the classified line. You know, nobody knew. Was it going to go off like gangbusters? Is it going to be a Marvel Legends? Is it going to be a wrestling figure? And it obviously has probably exceeded every expectation Hasbro had, I would have to imagine at this point. And I think we'd all agree they've really stumbled on a lot of things, distribution being one of them. I think turning out product has been really rough for the G.I. Joe squad when you compare it to Star Wars, Marvel Legends, that seem to have new figures every other month, maybe, let's call it at best. G.I. Joe struggled with that a little bit. But I think you're right.
I've seen a lot of people complaining that Hasbro drastically underestimated the potential profitability and selling of G.I. Joe. Would you say that that's true, or would you say that they were being just business savvy and cautious and underproducing, not knowing what the market would bring for introducing a new scale?
Yeah, I think they were cautious, but I think, you know, we talked a little, the 25th anniversary, how it brought me back. I was out of the Joes. Obviously, I love Joes. I admired them far. But once they got to some of the weird Sigma 6 stuff, that just wasn't my G.I. Joe. But then they get to, you know, the 25th anniversary throwback packaging. It brought me in, and I haven't left since. And I think the classified line did that for a lot of people. There's a lot of people that moved up to the 6-inch scale, have left 3 3/4 behind. And I know for me, for one, there's got to be somebody else outside of me out there that said, if I could get G.I. Joes like Marvel Legends, that would be a game changer. I can't imagine. Flint's my all-time favorite G.I. Joe. I love Flint. Absolutely love Flint. Cannot wait for the classified. I see it hitting the store, or people online are getting Flint right now. Oh, it's just driving me nuts. I can't wait. But there's a lot of people that said, oh my gosh, 6-inch Joes are back. And they didn't know. They were cautious. And you always got to be cautious in anything. And it's not just toys. You got to be cautious in the grocery world. A new item, you know, it's only new once. You got to make sure you don't overproduce, underproduce, that kind of stuff. And I think they truly had no idea what the demand for G.I. Joe would be. No idea at all. I don't think they did the studies they needed to. They just really botched it. And then what was botched even worse, I mean, I wouldn't say the first series was botched really bad. Everybody's area is different. But for me, in an 8-state Midwest area, Roadblock you could find every single day of the week. The Roadblock was not tough. Scarlet, pretty easy. Even Duke was pretty easy. And Destro was the hardest one. And he wasn't that hard. It was until they got to Cobra Island that really took it to the next level. That was extremely hard to find a target. Still is extremely hard. And then you got people confused, where it goes back to, we were talking about that Hot Wheel collector that's grabbing G.I. Joes because he heard. Then all of a sudden he's grabbing any G.I. Joe he sees because he's not an expert. He doesn't know Cobra Island and regular Roadblock, what the difference is. And you had a lot of that going on. So it's a really weird mismatch of issues. It was basically the perfect storm. Then you throw COVID in on that. It's just a mess, just an absolute mess.
Classic Action Figure says they were a little too cautious, talking about Hasbro.
Yeah.
However, many Joe fans on the boards were very much against a 6-inch line. So I have a feeling. So I remember seeing that before Classified was even announced.
Yeah.
Oh, 6-inch. No.
Yep.
But then, I don't know. I have a feeling a good amount of those same people We're buying them.
I think a lot of people ate crow. I'm included. I remember when they first announced it was coming, I said, this is exactly what I want, but please don't ruin it. Please don't ruin it. Give us the Joes we want. And they haven't quite given us the Joes we want yet. The first wave with the Roadblock and Scarlet and Duke, they had all those issues of, what is this futuristic paint? Give us more of a modern type Joe. And so they went and corrected that with the repaints. And I don't know your opinion, but I like the repaints just a hair more. I think they are a little bit better. And that sounds like that's going to be the new kind of theme they're going to go forward with. But I think there was a lot of people, myself included, that had to eat some crow saying, oh, I want the 6-inch, but I don't think they will do them right. And they had some stumbles, but I really like them now. I mean, I really like what they're putting out there. That's one man's opinion.
I like the redecos. I kind of wish they did a little bit more to justify me buying them again. I haven't bought them because I have the first one. The first ones
Yeah.
are fine for me. It wasn't a deal breaker with like
Hmm.
Roblox Gun or
Yeah.
the gold. Like I'm not as against it as
Hmm.
other people. I think they're fine.
Yeah.
If I see the redecos, maybe at some point I might get them. But
So I'm all in on the Joe. So I'm buying a loose set and an inbox set. And now I'm kind of stumbling. So I have the Redecos in box. And I'm like, do I really need to open another set? I don't think I need multiple Roblox. I just don't feel I need it. So at this point, I have not. Something tells me that set might be fairly rare, though. I don't know. I don't know which
which
one.
which
The
set? The first
Redeco.
one or the
The
redeco?
second one. I feel like
Okay.
they're not going to make as many of those as the first rounds. I guess, 5 years from now will be the true test. You go on eBay, which one's worth more? And do people really care? Is it a big enough change to people caring? I don't know. And then you brought up a great point too about the weapons. That's the one feedback I get the most, or I see the most out there, is people hate the weapons because apparently they're Nerf gun weapons, is what I keep being here, because Hasbro owns Nerf. And
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with Nerf. My kids don't buy Nerf. I don't either. So,
me
but
either.
to me, Joe's always were scientific weapons. They always had kind of futuristic weapons. I mean, you can throw in Cobra Law days and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it doesn't bother me, I guess, what I'm getting to.
I want to do just a quick shout out, Cobra Island. Thank you for the super chat, man. Really appreciate it. I like to highlight those. If anyone does
Yeah.
that, I always give you a shout out. Um, just want to go through the chat here and see. So Dave says a shockwave classified, talking to Gaz in the chat. But what, talking about classified, Kyle, what classified figures are you really looking forward to them releasing?
Making. And see, it's going to be interesting where they go. And it's funny, Joe fans are all over the board. There's some people that hate basically Serpentor. That's where it jumped the shark for a lot of people. And that's where it went to the next level for me. And I think everybody's a little different out there, depending on maybe your age bracket and stuff. But give me a Serpentor. I'm all in. I just got that new PCS Serpentor statue. I just look at that thing and I say, if I could just get that in 6-inch scale with his chariot, all would be right in the world. So
Have
give
you
me
seen
Serpentor.
have you seen the Prime 1 Serpentor statue?
Is that the real? It's a really expensive one, right? It's like $800
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
Stuff like that. I mean, I'm glad I don't see that in the stores, because I don't know what I would do. That's what you have to sit there on your computer and contemplate. Okay, am I going to really pull a trigger on this?
I'm right there with you. So I joined GI Joe in 1988.
Okay.
So I love the movie. I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of vocal fans online
Yeah.
that hate it. So it's hard to really tell what the exact percentage is. And a
Yeah.
lot of people
It's
forget that there are so many kids that grew up with GI Joe after
You're
1986.
exactly right. So Transformers, obviously, Joe's and Transformers, kind of a yin and yang of the 80s. And it's so funny to hear just in groups and messages I get about Transformers. Transformers Beast Wars was in the 90s. I want to say 95, 96. That I was out. I was out by then. I'm a late teen by that point. I'm not really paying attention to the new Transformers they're doing. But they just started releasing new Beast War figures out in the stores, and kids are going nuts. Or not kids anymore, but the ones that collected that time frame. It's just like I feel about the G1 Transformers. And I'm the same way. GI Joe really went to the next level with the Serpentor series for me, and some people don't like that. And it's funny you brought up GI Joe the movie. If people ever ask me, Kyle, what's your favorite movie? Well, it's GI Joe the movie. Oh, the one with the Rock? No, it's the cartoon one. I mean, to this day I watch that multiple times a year. The opening credits, the opening scene of that thing gives me goosebumps to this day. It never won't. I mean, I wish they would have re-released it in movie theaters like they did the '86 Transformers movie.
Oh yeah.
I would love to see G.I. Joe the movie on the big screen. I mean, it obviously didn't happen back in the day, but give me anything from that. I absolutely love that time frame. And like Law and Order and characters like that Tunnel Rat. I mean, I love all those guys, but I obviously have a lot of strong feelings about the original guys as well. Give me a rock and roll. I would love to have old school rock and roll, But I run the gamut, but more of the Serpentor era. And then you bring Sergeant Slaughter in the mix for a kid like me
Oh,
that loved wrestling too. You're not a Sergeant Slaughter guy?
no, I love
I
Slaughter,
loved,
but I don't think it's going to happen because
yeah.
um, Bobby Vala's got him over at
yeah.
Action Force,
Well,
which
I got it pre-ordered.
I do too. Yeah, I had to.
It's funny. So let's see. It wasn't last year. It was the year before. I met Sergeant Slaughter, and doing there's a big wrestling Hall of Fame in Waterloo every year. I'm a part of that every year, and went there. Sergeant Slaughter was one of the guests being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I said, Sarge, I got to ask you a question. What was it like fighting Nemesis Enforcer? How did you combat him and all this? So I'm talking to him about it, and he just looked me dead in the eye and said, "What's a Nemesis Enforcer?" That's what he said. I said, Sarge, you just broke my heart. You just broke my heart. What's a Nemesis Enforcer? He had a payday, I think is what G.I. Joe was. And hey, I'll sign whatever you want. But I remember that battle as a kid just being so epic and recreating that as a kid. Nemesis Enforcer versus Sergeant Slaughter. That had been one of the most played with sequences I did as a kid.
Unfortunately for me, I never saw any of the movie figures. By the time I got into G.I. Joe, they were off the shelf. So I never saw Slaughter. I never saw the Cobra Law figures.
And
yeah.
So I always talk about it on my channel a lot. I go back to the simpler times when you went to a store and you were surprised with new figures. Like there's no internet. You just went there. Oh my gosh, there's a whole new G.I. Joe lineup. Oh my gosh, who's on the back? So I very well remember that as a kid. And I remember as a kid, hey, they got all these. They got the Cobra Law Globulus. They got Nemesis Enforcer. Well, they're going to be making Pythona. Pythona's got to happen. And I remember being so excited. Yeah, I said, I just keep missing it. It's not there. Where is it? Maybe it's the G.I. Joe Club where you send points in. I remember just being baffled that they got everybody except Pythona, who was a major character in the movie. And then they righted the wrong in the G.I. Joe figure subscription club and all that. I was very pleased to get a Pythona after all these years.
I don't want people to get me wrong because I stopped toy hunting. My preferred method of acquiring these things is to go to a store and see it there. That's a rush.
Everybody. Everybody. Yeah.
But it's just not.
It's hard.
It's yeah.
And a lot of people always ask me, well, how do you find all these? How do you get them? Well, I hit a lot of stores because I'm out there checking competition for my day job, hitting some of these stores, seeing what's going on. If I'm in a Target or a Walmart, I'm walking straight to the toy set. Then I'll go do my normal business after I check out the toys. But I always recommend, everybody says, I don't know how to find it. Find your local Walmart, your local Target, whatever one's closest to you. Go there every single day for a week and find the pattern. And then you can usually be pretty successful. But then the thing that's hard to find in that mix is you have a Target or a Walmart employee that's possibly a collector or knows what they're worth. Not every store has that, and they could easily be fired for doing that too. I mean, just knowing the back operations of those things have to be on the shelf. They can't be sold out of the back room to employees. But we all know you all have your head in the sand if you don't think that really happens. But that's always my biggest recommendation.
Gaz says that G.I. Joe theme song from the movie, I still rock that on my playlist.
It is so good. Goosebumps. I mean, every time I hear that thing, I remember bringing my kids when they were my daughter was maybe 2 and my other daughter was around 4.5, almost 5. I said, all right, you guys got to watch this. This movie changed my life. And to see them not be impressed broke my heart. They were like, what is this? This isn't some Barbie show or whatever.
Wait, let me just get to this one. Let me get to this first. I got to remember some of the thought that I had. Benny says, if Hasbro would put the same amount of effort in G.I. Joe as they do in Star Wars and Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe would be on the top of the food chain. Kyle, what do you think about that?
I want to believe that because I love Joe the best out of all those. But the problem is, I mean, how much money does Marvel and Star Wars bring in worldwide every single year? I mean, think of Star Wars movies and stuff. I mean, you compare the Star Wars movies to G.I. Joe movies. It's just night and day, unfortunately. I think we're all in that bubble that absolutely love G.I. Joe. We're passionate about it, but it's just not quite. It doesn't have the rich history either of Marvel, for sure. I mean, how Marvel go back to 1938, something like that. It's just a lot of generations of people where G.I. Joe really is the 80s generation. I mean, it really is. It's keeping it alive. And there's some new fans. I mean, I have nephews out there, and they don't know anything about G.I. Joe. And I think Hasbro has done a terrible job bridging the gap with G.I. Joe to the younger generations like Marvel and Star Wars have. You got kids dressing up as Marvel characters for Halloween. You don't see a lot of Joe kids, unfortunately. And I do think Hasbro and the whole G.I. Joe legacy is at fault for that somewhat. I hope things get there once the new movies come out, the toys start getting out into regular rotation, because I think we're all fooling ourselves right now if we think any kids are playing G.I. Joe Classified. I don't think they're finding them. I don't think they're having a chance to find them, which is the worst thing ever. I know if I was there at a store and there was a little kid and there was only one, well, I was going to say if there was only one Flint there, I don't know. Would I have to push that kid down? I got to get Flint. He's my all-time hero. Sorry, kid. No, but I always give it to a kid. If there's a kid, I'm not that collector that's grabbing it. Because I remember as a kid having toys grabbed out of my hand as a little kid by grown adults. And, that kind of stuff sticks with you. And yeah, but I'm always long-winded, but I do think that the Joe team hasn't done enough with the legacy like a Star Wars and Marvel, but hopefully it gets there.
So I have two boys. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I don't force stuff on them, like stuff that I like. I don't make, all right, you're going to sit down and you're going to play with this toy and you're going to like it.
That's all I'm buying you.
Yeah, I don't do that. Like, I make stuff available to them, like the stuff you see behind me.
Yeah,
they can play with if they want to. So I did my best with my 8-year-old, and for a few times, yeah, he was into it. But he's basically been done with toys since he was 6. Just video games.
Yeah,
he likes to read. He likes books. My 5-year-old right now is way more into G.I. Joe than his older brother ever was. They grow up in the same house, same parents, same, environment. But
and I'm the same. I'm the same. Yeah,
I'm introducing the property to them.
Yeah,
where most parents probably aren't.
Yeah, and I got a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, they're girls for me. So obviously they have access to everything, and if they wanted to play with anything here, I would let them in a heartbeat. But they have never once asked me, hey, can I play with this wrestlers? They did have a few female wrestlers for a little bit they played with, toyed around with, but very similar. My 10-year-old wants nothing to do with toys for the last few years. She's 100% into books, which is great. Hey, I love it. Hey, you're reading books. Hey, that's good. You're going to be smarter. Get a scholarship. Pay for college. I'd love it. She loves books, and she loves her iPad like most kids, I think, these days. Love technology. She plays all the games on there. That's consumed her. She is done with toys. My 5-year-old, unfortunately, gets influenced by the 10-year-old a little bit. So they used to play Barbies together and stuff when they were really young, but she is really grasped now. She'll be 6 soon, getting back into the Barbies and playing with dolls and stuff again. So she's almost had a little resurgence. So it's similar as the older ones are out. Where I remember being 16, wanting to play with my Joes. I wanted to set up a war, and I'm like, I'm 16. What if the hot chick down the street walks by and sees me, with my aircraft carrier, my Night Raven going over? Then what happens at school? But I want to play to this day. It's just, I don't know.
Gaz has a couple good points here I want to bring up. He says about the popularity of G.I. Joe, we're bringing it back. He says it could happen if, say, the Snake Eyes movie is a smash hit, cross our fingers, and the live action Lady J series is good, and a new animated series. If anyone can do it, G.I. Joe can. There's a possibility there. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic.
Yep.
I feel like it's a very hard battle to fight that. We had the She-Ra animated series was on Netflix. From what I understand, it was very popular. Girls really liked it. Where were the toys?
Yeah, you're exactly right.
It's.
I don't know. It's funny. I don't know what an animated series would do anymore. It seems like everything's moved online, and maybe it's just I'm so disconnected. I try to stay into the cartoon universe, but I don't really hear about a lot of really popular cartoons that are like the breadth of episodes and everything else. I mean, you see kind of the crazy zany cartoons that are just like really crazy, but nothing with complete stories that follow through, character building. I don't know if attention spans are there for a type of G.I. Joe show like from the 80s that, hey, you got to watch every episode. And kids like me, G.I. Joe, the same episode was on 3 times a day where I lived. I watched those episodes 3 times a day. I mean, I could basically quote I bet you I've seen every episode of G.I. Joe at least 100 times. And I'm not even exaggerating. I mean, I've watched the DVDs. I've worn them out. I remember in college, I was at college watching the DVDs all the time. And I don't know if kids have that to the animation as much these days. I know my kids don't. They're watching YouTube. They're watching people unbox things and just, things we think are pretty stupid. But I'm sure people think what we're doing is stupid too. So who knows? But the G.I. Joe movie could be a huge hit. I really do think it will. And I think if anybody can be the hit, would be Snake Eyes. I think that's the most easy go-to G.I. Joe character. And it's funny, is Snake Eyes, people think of Snake... I don't know. It'd be interesting to ask you, when you think of G.I. Joe heroes, is Snake Eyes the first one that jumps out at you? It seems like most people, they think Snake Eyes when they hear G.I. Joe. How about you?
Yeah, I think Snake Eyes is the Spider-Man or the Wolverine or the Superman or Batman of G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think most people, if I said, oh, I got a big G.I. Joe collection. Oh, you got Snake Eyes. It seems like most people know Snake Eyes, which is funny for me. I've always been so Flint, Duke, General Hawk, Lieutenant Falcon. I was on the opposite spectrum. I respected Snake Eyes. I respected his work. I respected he runs in and gets radioactive. I respected he has a pet wolf. Timber, I mean, who could do that? I respect all of that. I love Snake Eyes. I'd want him a part of my team. But I was always Team Flint, Team Hawk. I love the Dreadnoks. Dreadnoks were my favorite Cobra type organization team. It's just interesting. It's interesting how people gravitate. But I think, like you, I think most people do think Snake Eyes when they think G.I. Joe. And I think that's what you're going to need. You can't have a G.I. Joe movie. It's got to be a Snake Eyes movie. And if that is a hit, I think there's a possibility that, okay, now it's Snake Eyes. It's like Wolverine got his own movies, but the X-Men were kind of around. I think we'll see that same thing. I think they're hoping they'll see that same thing with Snake Eyes.
Cobra Island asks the question, which animated movie is better, Transformers or G.I. Joe?
And I'm guessing you've probably seen the Transformers one, haven't you? Have you seen
it?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see it until I was an adult, though.
Oh, okay.
Never saw it as a kid.
I remember just being absolutely horrified as a kid when Optimus died. I mean, I just could not believe. And I think most Joe fans know the history of that. The Joe movie was going to be next. Transformers, the reception of it, I don't know if it did very well at the box office. I'm guessing it probably didn't do super good.
Yeah.
And I think that's what stopped the Joe movie from going to the theaters, which is really unfortunate. But that Transformers was a game changer. I remember I still love both movies. But just the swearing, they had swearing in the Transformers movie. As a little kid, it's just like, what am I watching? It's not like it is today with kids. I mean, that was absolutely shocking as a kid to hear them. I can't remember what they said. They might have, I don't know what they said. But, and then to see Autobots actually die and then Optimus dying, unbelievable. I mean, I loved it. I mean, I was blown away, shocked. I mean, the look on my face was just crazy the whole time as a kid. I still love to watch it. But at the end of the day, my favorite movie of all time is the G.I. Joe movie. I could watch that any day of the week and 10 times on Sunday.
Let me see here. We've got a lot of stuff going on here in the chat. Oh, well, hold on. Oh, sorry, guys. Gaz says, Shockwave the movie.
we're talking about... Yeah, we're a ways away. I love Shockwave, though. Shockwave was a cool character as a kid. I remember when that came out and seeing him for the first time out of that set, I did pick him up.
Classic action figures. So the death of Optimus traumatized an entire generation.
It did. It was something.
I was not a Transformer. I was aware of Transformers, but I was not into it at all. I only had maybe one Transformers toy when I was a kid. So I didn't see the animated movie till I was an adult, and I loved it. It was awesome, but I wasn't traumatized. Maybe.
Yeah, you shouldn't. It'd be weird if you were. Maybe if you're in your 30s. Oh, wait a minute.
My wife comes in. I'm just
sobbing uncontrollably. What is this? It was funny. Is for me, Transformers. I love Transformers. I loved He-Man. I loved Transformers. I loved Thundercats. I loved G.I. Joe. Everything 80s. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Even I loved all that stuff. I watched all of it. And then, like most kids, my dad, I was luckier than most kids because my dad was a hardcore collector too. I talked about starting lineup stuff. He understood the thrill of the hunt and the fun, and just probably like you do, it's fun buying your kids toys when you see their imagination and they're playing with it. I get that. It's hard for me to ever say no in the toy aisle with the kids. It's
Hey,
funny. It's funny when my kids are like, I don't want to go to the toy store. I don't want to go Target and look at toys. Are you kidding me? Are you my kid? But my dad understood, I think, hey, even back then, figures were a lot easier to get in the 80s, but he understood that, okay, this set's out, it's brand new. Okay, Kyle, we're going to get this set, but here's what you got to do. You got to, make sure your room's clean. You got to help with the dog. You got to do these things. And that was good. But I was all in on G.I. Joe. That was my first love. That's what I was spending my allowance on. That's what I was asking for Christmas. Also wrestling figures. And then Transformers was kind of that third spot. I'd pick them up every once in a while. I probably had 20, 30 Transformer toys that I got through Easter, like today, or Christmas, my birthday, whatever. But, you only got unlimited funds, and they're only going to buy you so many toys. And I always try to get G.I. Joe. So, okay, I have all these G.I. Joes, or there's a G.I. Joe I don't want. Guess what? I'm moving on to Transformers. And that's how I kind of collected as a kid.
Here, Bjorn has a question. Did you read the Joe comics back in the 80s? And for him, that's the real Joe universe.
And it's funny, and I wonder, how old is Bjorn? I wonder, because I always think kids that were a little older than me, a lot of times read the comic books first, and we're all engulfed in that. And I've met a few collectors over the years, and it's a whole different realization about G.I. Joe when you read the comics. And I did, I collected a lot of comics as a kid, Marvel, DC. I mean, I collect everything, and of course, I got G.I. Joe. To say I read every single one as a kid, I wouldn't. I always bought my comics as a kid based on the cover. Okay, this Wolverine looks really cool. This X-Men looks cool. Oh, this G.I. Joe looks cool. What's this silent interlude all about with Snake Eyes? That's how I bought. So in my college years, I want to say right at the end of college is when I went back and bought all the trade paperbacks and all that. And I read through all the G.I. Joe stuff. So I did. But I think I will always be more passionate towards the cartoon because that's what caught me into the Joes, and that's where really I lived in the Joes. But it was a great supplemental material as a kid when you're waiting for the next season or the next episode. It was always cool to thumb through the comics and stuff.
Gaz asks, what are your thoughts on G.I. Joe Resolute? Have you seen Resolute?
I did. I love G.I. Joe Resolute. I mean, that was the closest that I got to that feeling of the old days, kind of. I mean, we talked about it. I've seen the Sigma 6, and even Renegades didn't do really a lot for me. I bought the figures, but what else is there's been a few other Joes out there, but I liked Resolute a whole lot. I wish we could have got a little bit more of that. Not quite to the G.I. Joe movie or the old animated, but I would say it's the number 2 for me.
Let's see. Damien asks, maybe I shouldn't mention it here, but I have high hopes in the Thundercats new movie, G.I. Joe and Thundercats movie, plus Brave Star movie, favorite 80s properties.
What is it? There's Brave Star, and then there was, I want to say it was Silverhawks.
Yeah, Silverhawks was after Thundercats.
Okay, and so I have zero recollection of Silverhawks and Brave Star, and it was because they were not on where I lived in Iowa. I'm in Iowa. For whatever reason, they weren't on the Fox affiliate or whatever channel. So those are like, I didn't even know they existed. And I think I probably saw the toys on the shelf as a kid, but if you didn't have something to make you care about the toys, like an animated series, you weren't buying them. So I didn't see any of that. Thundercats, I loved them as a kid. I love them a heck of a lot more now than I did as a kid, which is really strange. That was the one out of all the old cartoons that I showed my daughter when she was younger. I said, here's cartoons I watched. That was the one she gravitated to of all of them. He-Man, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Thundercats. Very strange. And she still loves Thundercats. She's all in. She's happy for a movie. And Super 7 just coming out with new Thundercats figures, which is really cool. I've been buying those. I actually just backed that Thunder Tank on Friday. I waited to the very last minute. I said, I'm not going to, because Super 7 will hold your money for a year and a half before they ship something.
Yeah.
And I said, I am waiting till the very last minute to order this thing. And that's what I did. So I'm all in on Thundercats movie too.
Now, would you like to see a live action Thundercats movie or an animated Thundercats movie?
I don't know. I want to say live action, but I'm probably shooting myself in the foot whatever way I go. I don't have a lot of hopes that it's going to take off and be some resurgence of Thundercats. Thundercats is a really weird line because it's failed. I don't know if a line has failed more than Thundercats, honestly. You had the original run back in the day. Then Bandai tried to get the license. Then it failed. Then it went to, I think, Hasbro. Then Mattel failed. it's been rebooted and restarted so many times. I just don't know if that ship has sailed for Thundercats. I think it's an awesome story. I always kind of have that and He-Man as kind of a yin and yang, and I love both of them. I'm all in on the new He-Man origin figures. But Thundercats, I don't know. Can you do live action without just being CGI overload on Thundercats? And then if you do animation, what's the animation going to look like? Cartoon Network just did a new Thundercats cartoon 2 years ago, maybe, and I couldn't get through one episode. So I don't know. I just have to see it, I guess.
Classic action figures asks, what cartoons? Yes, he's asking both of us. What cartoons do our kids like to watch? You might not like the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. You go ahead. I'll try to think of it if you can think.
All right, I'll go first. My older son likes Teen Titans Go. I'm
trying to think too.
Then my younger son, I have gotten him to watch G.I. Joe. I started him with Sunbow, and if he continues, then I'll bring him through, the movie and whatever else after. Mm-hmm. But it takes small little. I can't get him to sit there and watch like 5 episodes. It's like one episode, and then he's done. He's ready to go like play or something.
Yeah.
But he likes G.I. Joe, and then so far that's basically been pretty much it as far as like cartoons that from the 80s and 90s or whatever.
My oldest daughter, which very similar age bracket to your oldest son, Teen Titans Go was life for her. She loved Teen Titans Go, which is funny because I know all these characters. I know the comics, and she doesn't want anything to do with the real version of these characters. Like, they're not always this joking type thing. She didn't want, but she loved Teen Titans Go. And then I feel bad for my youngest daughter because she really emulates everything my older daughter does. So my older daughter doesn't watch cartoons anymore. So guess what? She's not gonna for the most part. It's starting to happen a little bit more, but it's crazy. This new generation, they are all about YouTube, which is perceived to be good. But my kids love watching kids play Roblox, watch other kids play Roblox and
mine too,
stuff like that. Which is so weird because I'm sure a lot of people, you and me both probably, obviously I loved Nintendo as a kid, Super Nintendo, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't want to sit there and watch my friend play Nintendo all day. Hey, I hope he dies soon so I get my turn. I'm rooting against him. I hope he falls off this cliff so I get a turn.
That's like when you would go to your friend's house and there's 3 friends and 2 controllers. You got the third kid like, oh my gosh.
Yep. I'm hoping one of you guys die. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my kids, like, I have some video games still, and I'll bust something out. Like, we got one of those Nintendo Classic editions that have all the classic games. My kids won't play. They don't want to play. I want to watch you play. I want to watch you play. And I'm like, what? When I was a kid, I was stealing the controller. I wanted the controller. I wanted to be in control. Now these kids just want to sit back and watch. It's such a weird generation difference. I feel like that old guy. I'm going to start poking people with my cane, but it's just weird.
Yelling at clouds.
Yeah, exactly.
Renegade Biker says, what do you think about the 1/6 scales of Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes?
Yeah, I just don't want to dabble in too many different scales. I mean, I would love to, but there's only so many funds, and I try to keep it to 6-inch, except my new Star Wars obsession where I'm going back cleaning up some Star Wars stuff. But yeah.
They look great.
Yeah.
But I thought for a half a second about pulling the trigger on one or both of those, but I restrained myself.
What about that new Mezco Destro? Did you pre-order that yet, or are you going to get it?
No, because I got the classified Destro, and I don't want to jump into a whole nother because there's so much of the modern line. It may look like I have a lot here behind me, but there's so much of that I don't have that I really want to fill in. I don't want to start down a whole nother road and I'm afraid if I buy the Mezco Destro, well, what other properties
where does it end?
100%.
Your thoughts are the exact same as mine. It's like, how many do you got? I'm fine with the classified Destro. I like that figure. I like the Pimp Daddy Destro figure too. I even like that one. I'm fine. I don't need the Mezco. Who knows? Maybe something will change, but as of right now, I'm all out because I get that question a lot too. You can get that new mask. I was like, how many lines do you guys want me to buy?
It's like the same, like the NECA or NECA and Super 7, whoever's doing the Ninja Turtles now, the stuff looks great, but I had to physically restrain myself from buying those or
Yeah,
the Thundercats, the Ultimate
Super 7.
Thundercats.
Yep.
Like I can't. I have
I
too
tell you,
many irons in the fire.
I'm in that same boat. I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. That NECA cartoon line is amazing. I'm all in. I've been in since day one. Turtle anxiety. I talk about it on my channel all the time. Turtle anxiety, because it is. And luckily, I have another collector in town here that lives by me, Waylon Jennings. He's an old outlaw. His name's Waylon, and I call him Waylon Jennings on the channel. But him and I hunt together and help each other out. It truly takes a village in the collector's game. That's one thing I always taught. You got to have somebody out there watching your back, and he's looking for stuff. He doesn't collect wrestling, but he'll keep an eye out for me and stuff like that. But those NECA turtles, that's a dangerous road because you go down that thing, it's getting crazy. I mean, they're talking about building a Ninja Turtle sewer playset,
Oh
and they
yeah,
said
yeah.
that it'll possibly be about the size of a love seat, is what they're saying. I mean, do you got room for a love seat somewhere in your toy room? I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Have you dabbled into any of the McFarlane multiverse stuff?
So it's so weird. We talk about that a lot on my channel too. Is I've dabbled. I've bought a few things. So I'm a big heavy metal fan. I love when I used to travel for work pre-COVID. I was out going to heavy metal shows. Hey, I'd go grab a pizza. I'd go to a metal show. I'd go to my meet next day. I'd go home. That's what was kind of my routine when I'd travel. And they came out with the death metal Batman line. It's like heavy metal Batman, the Bat Cycle, all this, and everybody's like, "You got to get it. You got to get it." And I'm a Marvel guy, but I dabble in DC. What I want from DC is the old school Super Friends. That's my DC, the old school Super Friends cartoon. But I have dabbled in the McFarlane, and I got to say, I'm disappointed in the line. I get a lot of kind of hate mail about that, but I don't like the scale of it. They're more statue than figures, I feel like. And I don't know. I hear about it from all over the country, but my area, they are the #1 pig warmers in my stores by far. I
Really?
can easily find anything I want for the McFarlane. I see it all the time. I admire them from afar, and I was a big McFarlane guy in the 90s, and I truly think McFarlane changed the world for toys. He brought toys to the next level. I truly think that in the 90s with his Spawn figures, the comics, the variants, the chases, he took toys from looking like Marvel Toy Biz to almost looking like statues. And I think we owe a debt of gratitude to McFarlane, and we also probably owe him some hate mail for some of these chases and some of that kind of stuff. But he truly changed the game. But I'm just not going down. And the other thing that irks me about that, and it's just me, the guy that doesn't buy him, it irks me from afar, is it seems like it's just a Batman line. It seems like every wave has this Batman figures. How many Batmans do you need? But at the same time, people say, well, Kyle, how many Ric Flair figures do you need? You really need 20 Ric Flair figures? Yeah, I guess I do. So
How
I don't know.
many Snake
Flint,
Eyes figures do we need?
exactly. And I'll buy them all. If I'm a
Yeah.
completist of that line, I'll get them all. And I guess if I was all in on McFarlane and Batman was my favorite character ever, I'd be buying every Batman figure. So I don't begrudge anybody about their collections, but just me from seeing it from afar, kind of an outsider in that line, I want more breadth of characters. Give me some more guys. Give me classic Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. Give me some of those kind of guys in there. And I don't, maybe he will someday. I think it's like the G.I. Joe retro line. We're going to get 6-inch retro figures on a classic card. It's going to happen one of these days. There's too much money on the table. And I think the same thing about some of that DC stuff as well.
I've been a little surprised with Classified because they've kind of veered off a couple times without doing a straight redo of the 25th anniversary. We've gotten that Arctic Storm Shadow. It's Ninja Force Storm Shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody
Right.
knows that. And
Exactly.
we've got like the Red Ninja and the Cobra Island Roadblock. They kind of veered off a little bit, which I think is good. I think it's stuff that we probably wouldn't have seen already if the movie hadn't been pushed.
Yeah. Yep. I think you got to a perfect wave for me, is 5 or 6 characters. And I think you got to go hot with a most wanted G.I. Joe character, a most wanted Cobra character, maybe 2 lesser known ancillary characters like a Barbecue. Barbecue was never the star of G.I. Joe, but he was there. He was ready. If there was a fire, he was first going in. You put him in there, and then I want a deep cut character. And that's where the Arctic Storm Shadow could fit in. maybe some of the deeper cuts to appease the hardcore collectors out there. And they've went very, very strange with this line. One person to follow online is Jeremy Padower. I don't know if any non-wrestling fans know about Jeremy Padower, but he ran Jakks Pacific for a lot of years. He's now the CEO of Jazzwares. And
Okay.
if you're into action figure, the business side of it, I really love the business side just because I kind of walk parallel with that world. So it's interesting to me for my day job and what learnings I can take from that world, the toy world, into my day job. But he is a great follow on Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, because he talks about investing in toys, investing in stuff, and gives some tips and tricks and distribution, and is pretty open about here's how the distribution works. Here's the issues there. I really recommend following him, and you could take anything he says and you could put it towards G.I. Joe, Transformers, wrestling, because it's all really the same. It's kind of, at the end of the day, if you're a salesman, you could be selling hammers, you could be selling cookies, you could be selling clothes. You pretty much go about it the same way. And that's kind of the toys. But that's a good follow out there if you want some behind the scenes action.
I like hearing from people that have actually been in the industry and know what they're talking about versus angry internet guy that thinks they know how everything works.
Well, and you hear, like, even today I saw, I don't know about you down there, but FedEx has been atrocious lately. I don't know what's going on with FedEx. They've had a lot of issues getting me packages. Pretty much the last 2 months, everything that's supposed to ship that should have been here is usually 5 days late. It's just kind of crazy, but I forgot where I was going with this. What were we talking about? What were we saying? I got FedEx in there. I was going to relate that to something. I don't know.
The business side of. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you think about it.
I lost it. I got lost.
Damien says, Kyle, could you imagine a NECA Technodrome set? Be expensive, but still a possibility.
I truly think it'll happen. I think they're going to milk that cow as long as they possibly can. It's going to be a fortune. It'll probably be $500 at minimum. I mean, it might be one of those. They dipped their toe in it, and I'm guessing that person was a Turtles fan. They have the diorama piece that was online only. You could only order it online. It's supposed to ship in April, so anytime now. And I think that was $150. And I think that was their first toe into saying, okay, can we get people to pledge and get going into this? And apparently it went very successful. So it sounds like that sewer play set, Party Wagon, is probably coming pretty soon. And then I think we will get the Technodrome as well. Where
does it end, Kyle?
It never does. When you're broke and filing for bankruptcy on the side of the road, that's the end.
I saw Classic Action Figures asks, he's keeping his fingers crossed for Friday's announcements from Hasbro. So if you guys that are watching this don't know, this Friday, April 9th, is the Hasbro Pulse Fan Fest. I think
something like that. It was Hasbro Con in the fall. I think it's Fan Fest this time.
Yeah. So they're doing reveals for a bunch of different properties. G.I. Joe is one of them. And I believe the highlight is supposed to be reveal for movie figures in the classified line. I wouldn't say I'm super excited about that.
Agreed.
But unless they show me something, because this is what I'm. Well, Kyle, what are you expecting? And then I'll say what I'm expecting.
I'm not super jazzed for it like you. I feel like I should be more excited, but I'm not. I think you're exactly right. They're going to show probably Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow. They're going to show some of that kind of stuff from the movie. I do feel like, Hasbro's under the umbrella that makes Star Wars. They make Marvel Legends. And I think we'd be fooling ourselves if they don't talk to each other. I feel like the next G.I. Joe wave for the movie is going to be set up very similar to the MCU Marvel Legends wave, where you get characters from the movie or TV show. Maybe you get 3 of those, and then you get 2 comic or maybe animated figures to kind of flush the line out, give a little bit something to everybody. And I think we're going to see a Storm Shadow, and I bet you we see 2 Snake Eyes. It'll be like Snake Eyes in his traditional gear, and then you'll get some other offshoot repaint of a Snake Eyes in there. And then I wonder if that's where we're going to see the Barbecue or somebody else that's kind of been rumored to come to flush that line out. So give something for everybody. The completists will get everything. The hardcore people that just came into it because, hey, I saw this movie. Hopefully new kids get into the G.I. Joe line. They'll buy these new Snake Eyes movie figures. And then it gives people like No, I wouldn't say me because I'm buying it all no matter what. But people that are good collectors out there, hey, I'm maybe passing on these movie figures, but I'm picking up Barbecue and Crystal Ball or whoever it is they come out with.
You heard it here first, guys. Kyle Peterson says Crystal Ball is going to be in the first line of movies.
That's my insider intel. Crystal Ball. That's going to be the year Crystal Ball.
I think I'm pretty similar. I have a feeling that we'll probably see 2 Snake Eyes figures, and I will be shocked if as far as the movie figures go, if either in Wave 1 or Wave 2, we don't see the classic Storm Shadow figure that everybody
wants,
whining about that they haven't released, but I'm pretty sure they've been holding that back specifically for the movie release.
I think you're same wave as you. I think the same thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if we'll get like Baroness's coil bike kind of re-put out there as like an all black Snake Eyes bike or something like that. I don't really remember Snake Eyes driving a motorcycle too much in the cartoon, but he probably did at least once or twice. I don't know, but
I know he did in Renegades, but
that's
I don't
true.
remember it in Sunbow.
I vaguely remember the comics, him being on a motorcycle once or twice too. So
I've recently been watching Sigma 6, which I never had before.
Yeah.
And
is it good?
And well, no, but there are some really cool designs in there. There's one episode where I think it's him and Storm Shadow. They're on motorcycles, and then all of a sudden, the rear wheel, like they turn out like this, and it becomes a hover bike. Which I thought was really cool. So something like that, I would be all for.
Sigma 6. I tried to watch it a few times. I could just never catch on. I even tried. What was that one? Gosh, I forget the name. It was with like Claw. It was KLAW. That was
Extreme.
G.I. Joe Extreme. And I remember buying the Dark Horse comic books of that. And I wanted, I was a little older. I was probably 13, 14 when that came out. But I was not giving up the fight on my Joes. I wanted to be all in. I wanted to believe. And I think I was just trying to wish myself into really loving it. And I honestly didn't.
Did you ever buy any Sergeant Savage figures?
I don't remember. I mean, I know Sergeant Savage, but I don't remember any Sergeant Savage figures, at least seeing them out on the pegs or anything.
Okay, that was my last. I think I was like just finishing up and I was at Walmart, and the G.I. Joe line had ended, and then Sergeant Savage was there. I was like, oh, cool. This is very different from the other 90s stuff that we saw, which I liked, but this was different. It was World War II style. So I bought 2, got them home. These aren't the same scale as all my other figures. Yeah. So that was it. And I was done until, years later.
And then the 25th anniversary came on, it stole my hearts, and I had a heart attack. And I felt that same feeling when the Masters of the Universe Origins figures came back to Walmart a year ago, seeing those on the pegs again with the throwback packaging. I mean, I about fell to my knees in the store. Just brought me back to being 3 or 4 years old. And that's what's going to happen. I'm probably going to have to bring my wife, and I'll probably have a heart attack in the aisle if they come out with 6-inch versions on the retro style card, very similar to the Marvel Legends type stuff. I'll drop to my knees right there and probably die of a heart attack. My life's complete. I've seen it all.
Well, it seems like Super 7 is doing 6-inch versions of everything that Hasbro isn't. So I wouldn't be surprised if we
well, they might license it out.
Super 7's going to end up doing an Ultimate G.I. Joe 6-inch line at the same time that Hasbro's doing
because Super 7 does have a bat, and I saw it. It didn't look like it was interesting to me. It was like a bat, but it was like more. Have you seen that thing?
It's really big. It's not. It's more of a novelty kind of thing. Yeah,
I don't know. Toe in the water. I'm not getting it for sure, but boy, if they came out with an Ultimate G.I. Joe line, I mean, I might as well try to find another job, because I'll need to get a second job to somehow fund like $50 a pop. And then the worst part, and people always think I kind of bag on Super 7 a little bit on my channel, but they have to play by different rules than Hasbro and Mattel. It's a different model, it's a different company, but it always frustrates me a little bit putting the money down and having to wait up to 18, 19 months. The New Japan Pro Wrestling figures just came. I pre-ordered them 19 months ago. That's a long time for somebody to have $200 of your money. So I don't know. I love Super 7's product though.
I did a review recently the other day for Captain Eagle from the Eagle Force Returns line. I don't know if you.
Yep. I don't collect them, but I know.
I forgot about them for a while because I ordered it on the Kickstarter. It was either 2016 or 2017, and I just got it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it's just you forget about it. Yeah, and we were talking about Thundercats. I think I saw from Super 7. I pre-ordered over a year ago Thundercats Series 2. It sounds like Series 3 is going to ship maybe 4 months before Series 2 ships.
I heard that. Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, it's crazy, but I usually order. I put my money where my mouth is, though. I usually order most of my Super 7 stuff outside of the Thunder Tank. I ordered that straight from Super 7 because I did the math. I always say, got to get a deal on the channel. You got to be smart. The more money you can save on a figure, you can put towards another figure. That's what I always kind of go by, that philosophy. And that was the cheapest. To give them Super 7 my money for a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's going to be, was cheaper than Big Bad Toy Store, who was $50 more, for example. But I usually buy a lot of my Super 7 stuff now. After being burned a few times, I buy it via Big Bad Toy Store because you don't pay till it ships. So I really like that aspect of it, and I don't feel so bad. But I know there's some people that like, I want to pay, I have the money now, I want to be done with it. And I see both sides, but I've always been at the point of I'd rather sit on my own money if I can.
Yeah. Dave has a scoop for us. He says Globulus will be in the new Snake Eyes movie. So
sign me up. Will Snake Eyes get him in the eye? Snap him in the eye? That'd be great. Sign me up. I love it. Can Burgess Meredith voice him? Oh, that's not going to happen, is it?
And Gaz, thank you so much for that super chat. Awesome. Thanks, man. That will be going directly to the Joefan82 channel and collection. We'll be adding more stuff. And looking through the chat here, we're coming up. We've been over an hour, and I like to kind of keep these things to about an hour. And if anyone has another question in the chat, we might take one or two more. Before I forget, Kyle, let everyone know where they can find you here on YouTube and on social media.
Yeah, YouTube, Kyle Peterson. If you search my name, there's two Kyle Petersons popped up. There's some wilderness guy that has millions of followers. I'm that other guy, but action figures, all that. But I believe it's Kyle Peterson 1980 is the official YouTube channel. But then you can find me on Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. And then on Twitter, @SirPaul64 on Twitter. So you can find me on both those. And I post on there every single day. Toy hunt stuff, toy news, hot deals. I always say got to get a deal. If I see a good Amazon link or a hot deal somewhere, I'll try to pass that on to everybody.
All right. And let's see here. Cobra Island says he wishes they made a modern version of Globulus and Royal Guard figures.
Sign me up.
Would be, I was hoping that at some point we would have some kind of collaboration between Boss Fight Studio and Hasbro on a Globulus, because they have that.
So here's my thoughts. What's going to happen? I hope this happens. This is my dream here. That I don't know if it's going to be next year or whatever, but we're going to get a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive box set one of these days of the G.I. Joe. Probably on one of the anniversaries, maybe we'll get a box set at San Diego Comic-Con, because San Diego Comic-Con, they usually give you something for the diehards, something that they probably wouldn't sell at the traditional retail. And I'm hoping we get that. And I would absolutely love a Cold Slither box set of the Dreadnoks. Sign me up. Take all my money. I'll probably buy 3 of those. I would absolutely love that. I'm hoping that's one of those con exclusives one day.
And it's got to have, just like with the movie Ninja Turtle figures, it's got to have the stage. Right?
Yes. I love it. I love that idea. That Ninja Turtle, I love that set too, and that's great. Give us the cardboard stage with it. I mean, it writes itself. It's the greatest idea ever. And
then have like a button somewhere on it that plays.
Yeah, there you go. They could do that. I mean, they were doing that back in the day. There was those, what were they, like Force Fighters. I remember I had the Lieutenant Falcon back then. You had the backpack and you could push the buttons. It would make noises. They can do that. They can do anything now.
All right, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank my very special guest, Kyle Peterson, for joining me here on this Easter edition of the Sunday stream. Kyle, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. I love talking. I could talk G.I. Joe all day.
So, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. Oh, one quick little comment from Gaz. Damn right, cold slither.
The people have spoken. Let's get it, Hasbro.
All right, guys. Happy Easter. I hope everyone has a good week. Make sure you subscribe to the Kyle Peterson channel. Link in the description. And we'll see you next time. Yo, Joe.
There you go.